I've made plenty of bad choices. How do you turn them into good ones, and what do you do to make good choices? So, and that's who you've come. I've been lucky enough to kind of evolve over time, but it took a lot of work up here, and it took years and years to get there and to have that realization. And everybody can do it. I completely believe in it. If I can do it from where I've come from, I know anybody out there can. So choice is critical. Speaking of choice, we got the big choose wisely on here, because you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this one, again, is stressing. Who are the people that you hang out with? Who are the people that you spend time with? Who are you trying to emulate? What is your environment? This part is critical. I went through a moment in my life where, after my first divorce, it's always funny to say after my 2 divorces. So after my first divorce, I pretty much eliminated all the negative people out of my life. So, which included friends that I had. So, and, I didn't just wake up and go, okay, guys, I got a checklist here and you're off. So see you later, right? You just kind of start cutting back the time from them and the time from them and the time from them. And then you start hanging out with people that are in a situation that you want to be in, or that have beliefs that you want to have, or that have beliefs that you truly believe you have, right? That's the piece. So being around those people who you want to be, and it doesn't have to be people that are all rich and successful, right? It can be people that just have their shit together, right? They have a positive belief. They know how to treat people. They know how to care about people. It's critical. And there's plenty of them out there. Some days it may seem like there's not. So, but there are plenty of them out there. So picking those people you spend the most time with, really sit back, analyze what your situation is, who you're around, and what they are. I'm not saying go out there and start divorcing people. So that's not the point I'm trying to make here. So, but make sure, through that, you choose who the people that you spend your time with is really important. And then this part comes through everything. If you learn how to be grateful for what you have, you'll always be grateful. You have to focus on what the grateful is. Our team, every morning, actually right before this call, 7:50 in the morning, thanks to Surge Robert, we rescheduled it because we were at 8. So we've been on 7:50 ever since Surge started, which is great. But our team gets together and we share what we're grateful for. What were we grateful for from yesterday, right? And what are our intentions for today? That's what that call is. But having that gratefulness, 2 things that you can do that really help you in the morning. Think about what you're grateful for in the morning. And if you're struggling, start writing it down. Write down 10 times what you're grateful for. Before you go to sleep, think of what you're grateful for. There is something that you're grateful for. Even in the hardest of times, there's something. You're alive. There's number 1. You have family. You have friends, right? You have clients out there that are willing to work with you. And sometimes you don't know why. So there's always something that you're grateful for. So be on that space to be thankful for what you have, because there's a lot to be thankful for. I really got actually into a pretty emotional state this past Tuesday, which is good timing here too, Robert, past Tuesday, and just went through all the stuff that's going on to just sit back and think of what I have that I'm grateful for, and what's out there amongst all this chaos that's going on. What is there that's good? And I think I threw up a Facebook post out there out of a pure emotion, which I don't do very often. So I popped that out there, and it just, it feels good to be thankful. It really does, to know what's out there and what you have, without a doubt. This is the next part now I just wanted to kind of talk about, and this comes to keeping yourself on track. You're starting with that positive mindset. You're starting with, the good energy. You're getting all of those pieces together. So this now becomes how you put all that together into your life and into your business. Is you got to be accountable. You got to be accountable for your actions. You've got to be accountable for your thoughts. You got to be accountable to stay on track. You've got to be accountable with your schedule. And this, I cannot stress enough, is every day I plan out my schedule in the morning. It's part of my morning routine. Morning routine is the positivity, is the mindset. And then it's, what is my schedule? What are the important things that I have to do? So those are all written out right off the bat. So if you look at my schedule, I'll actually try to share it here real quick. My schedule is blocked out all the way across the board with everything that needs to be done and when it needs to be done. So I am a slave to my schedule. I always say, if it's not my schedule, it doesn't exist. I put personal time in my schedule. I put vacations in my schedule. I put concerts in my schedule. I put all the business stuff that's in the schedule. So reminders sit in my schedule. Everything's got to be in there, because I feel that if you're not living by a schedule, then you don't know what you're doing. right? Everything's kind of off the chains. Brian Buffini used to talk once, which was great. He's had the chaos theory for, let's see if I can write this up a second. He had the chaos theory. I'm on a small screen, but he talks about what a day in the real estate looks like, and it's like something like that, right? That's like a day in real estate. So what he said is, put a box around it and control it, right? You can control your chaos, and it is such a chaotic job. I'm sure all of you know that, but that's your schedule. Your schedule is number one to control the chaos. You have to be on schedule. You've got to have that. Planning your day and just taking control, right? You've got all the chaos around you, and you have the option to let it eat you alive, literally, or to take control of it and understand that you're in charge of your own domain. Going back to my second affirmation, you're solely in charge of your own thoughts and actions. So you have to remember that, and you have to go through that. Those thoughts that you have, you put them there. That's the part to always remember. You put them there. When I see people challenged with their thoughts and struggle with their thoughts and what they deal with, your mind created them. So your mind can change them. And sometimes it takes a lot of work. I know it did in my case. So, but once it does, there's a level of clarity that comes that you kind of hit a plane of peace and comfort. And it's a great place to be. And I think that, it's just a mess, right? The world itself is a mess. All we got to do is look at the news. So we know the world's a mess. So what can we do to help? That's the other part that I want to stress is anything that you're going to do coming through all of this is to give back to anybody that you can. And I think that's another part that will help you in Gratefuls, that'll help you have peace of mind, is what can you do for somebody? What can you do to help people that need help? What can you do to help people unexpectedly? Most importantly, what can you do to help people truly, not because you're looking for a reward, not because you're looking for a pat on the back, because you can do something for somebody and they don't even know how it happened or where it came from, right? That makes a big difference. And I think that's another thing to put yourself in positivity and help you have a good peace of mind. I think that was my ramble, Robert. I can talk fast. So I did it in 24 minutes. So I'm open to anything that we want to chat about now or grow or questions and, stories, any of the above. I'm here.
Yeah. If you have a question, go ahead and I think we have the Q&A or write it in chat and we'll try to answer it. But I want to take a shot first, if you don't mind. And so just listening to you, Keith, for many years now, seeing your production and performance from afar, having talked to you a few times now that I'm in Cupertino with you, and it's just reinforcing what I thought I knew. You get this like big picture, and then as you learn more and more and more, and here's what I want to stress. For 3 weeks now in Surge, we've talked about schedule. We've talked about some of the things you mentioned. And this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted really, really good agents, producers, people like you to reinforce that it really works. And if I can, not to be the dead horse, but it wasn't, Tuesday morning was impressive with your coming soons. But often that's almost a negative to an agent that is not yet where you are. Because as you said, our brain is built as a matter of survival for the negative. It's like, don't put your body, your being, your existence in something that is going to crush you. It's something that's going to harmful to you. And so while for some people, they can listen to all the business your team has created and it's coming soon and say, wow, I want that. Others are like, I can never do that. I can never be there. I can never spit out, 10, 15, $20 million in coming soons in one meeting. But what they can do is they can repeat affirmations like you did every day. And when I heard your affirmations, here's what I know, or here's what I think, correct me if I'm wrong. You are not those things every day. You aren't successful in those every day. You're not the best team leader every day, but you start with, I'm going to try to be the best team leader every day. And some days you fail, some days you're average, and some days you knock it out of the park. But because you start with that, those knock it out of the day parks drive your business. and drive the performance. When you are doing your affirmations, and the thing that led to me was, you don't control the whirlwind of the day. You don't control the canceled appointment that you've been looking forward to for the last 3 weeks. You don't control any of that, but you damn well sure can control those first 30 minutes of your day. And if that means wake up before anybody else is awake to throw a wrench in your day, then do that. Because then you build that. I sit with my family. I always wake up before they do, because you don't know, as a father, as a husband, how their day is going to go. What mood did they wake up in? And you're responsible, and you're part of their life and part of their emotions, and you don't control that. But when it's just me and the coffee and the news or something, I control that completely. And so I really appreciate about that. Be grateful. You don't control everything that happens to you, but at the very least, you're still here. So there's always something to be grateful for when you wake up in the morning. And the last thing was be accountable, which is probably the hardest thing. And for realtors and for people. So I hope everyone got those points. And if you shift away from the Keith Walker, the awards, the recognition, the production, and shift to the Keith Walker you just heard, and you can emulate everything he just talked about in those 24 minutes, as you said, right? No matter what level of business you are, no matter how new or how long you've been, you can make a decision to say, I'm not yet there at his level of production. I'm not there yet at his level of performance or knowledge and experience. But tomorrow morning, you can be right there with Keith in mindset. You can be right there with Keith in affirmations. You can be right there with Keith in being grateful for where you are, what you've been through, and then what you can create for yourself going forward. So that's what I want you to key in. And if you do all those things, and Keith, I think you would agree with me, if you build those patterns, if you do all these, you will elevate your performance. You may or may not ever get to chairman's circle, but you will be better tomorrow than you are today, and certainly better than you were yesterday. And so that's the only thing I'll add. And you hit it out of the park. Really appreciate it. Exactly what I wanted to hear, and I hope that you would share with all of us this morning. Let's see. I think you have the control panel, so you might have to go. Yeah,
Right.
I can see it. The first one is some are asking if they can have a copy of your affirmations.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to ask you guys to make it super easy. If you email me, Keith, Keith, at thewalkerteam.com. If you just shoot me there, I'll actually type it up in here too. If you do that, I'll be happy to share them with you. One thing, Robert, I wanted to add on there real quick before you come, because you inspire me every time you talk, and to hear that last bit that you said, I got to a high level of transactions by working really hard and being coachable. That was number one. That's really what got me there. Gino had a massive influence on me. Between Gino and Tom Ferry, massive influences. But what helped me truly get to a next level was that mindset and the power of controlling that mindset and positivity, because it taught me to learn how to fail better. And I think that was the biggest aspect, is to know that it was okay to fail. Was really, really important, because I failed personally and I failed professionally. And knowing that when you can get that peace of mind and you can have that stuff together, it helps, right? It lessens the blow, and it keeps you grateful and positive for the things that are out there.
Yeah, awesome. So I think I don't see any new questions, just a lot of thank you and comments like that, which is amazing and powerful. So I'll just say, go out, have a good rest of your Friday, everyone that's on the call. Have a powerful weekend, whatever that means, whether that's working all day, every day for the next week, or reconnecting with your family or yourself. But start to change the mindset. I can't stress enough how powerful that is. Start to really go back over the last 3 weeks of Surge and look at the things we've talked about. What I'll share a conversation that Jess and I had, because it reinforced something you said, Keith. Jess and I were talking about where we've been as an office the last 3 weeks, what we're excited about for the coming weeks and months in the office. And Jess said, we're just so aligned, Robert. Or he said something to that point. And I said, Jess, we're trained and coached by the same people. And he just started laughing. And so you shared a little bit about that, right? There is a tree of experience and knowledge that we've all been through. You mentioned Gino. I know you follow Tom Ferry. You mentioned Jim Rohn and other things. So there is a clear path and a clear pattern of where like this institutional knowledge of what works in real estate, of how to maximize your own personal skills and grow them and become successful. And when I'm thinking of surgeon, I haven't been shy about saying it, right? Is I'll take what I have learned from way more successful people that came before me and sharing it with you, all of you. And that came through a lot for me too, Keith. Is it sounded to me like you mentioned you reached certain points in your life where you said, I'm going to make a change. And while it wasn't always completely evident, I don't think when you reach those points, it was you saying, and I'm going to figure it out on my own. It was like you came to realization, I want to change, I want something different, I want something better. And part of the unspoken, correct me if I'm wrong, or please affirm if I'm right, is, and I've heard or I watched or I've listened to this person and I want to follow that path and see how it works. Exactly. And it's not always been one. You look for multiple. You look for, success leaves clues, they say.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Those clues are usually written down, or in today's world, they're on YouTube or they're on other platforms, or you can watch, you can listen. You mentioned Oprah Winfrey, right? She has tons of information, not only on her own story, but powerful people that have inspired her. And that's where when they say success leaves clues, well, remember, clues are kind of hidden. It kind of implies in that word, you've got to go find them. They're not always dumped on you and say, hey, Robert, pay attention. This is what you need. You've got to feel that need. I want something more. I want something different. I want something better. What we're trying to align is, here's different sources. Here's different ways. Find the one that aligns with you. When I introduced Surge, I said to all of you, what we're trying to build is like a backbone system of training, not designed for all of us to be cookie cutter and do exactly the same thing, but to be a base for you, so that as you learn the core of what we're teaching, what we're training, then as you become more successful, then you bring in your own personality. You look for those clues of success for people that are like you or think like you, and then you start to adjust and grow into your own model. And that's what I see and what I hear when I hear you talk, Keith. It's you've been trained by Gino and Jim Rohn and Tom Ferry and others, but you're very much your own brand, and now you have your own story. And what's really cool about that, and I think you know this, you probably are humble enough not to say this out loud, but you're creating your own tree, so that in 5, 10, 15 years, people are saying, yes, I learned from Jim Rohn and from Gino Blafari and from Jess Weibel and Keith Walker. And that's where I learned to become successful. And that's where I learned to achieve my goals and my success. And again, you're probably too humble to say that out loud, so I'll say it for you. That's one reason I invited you to do this, because that's what I want to really create overtly in the office. As you work in Cupertino, when you are part of an office like this, it's really helpful, in my opinion, in my experience, when you understand and know the people in your office that are performing at a level you want to achieve. Watch them, listen to them, talk to them, right? Keith just said he loves deep conversations. If you love deep conversations, offer to go buy him a coffee or a drink and say, let's have a deep conversation for an hour so you can learn one-on-one. He'll learn, you'll learn, and that's how this thing grows and grows and grows. So I was excited. I'm sorry I went on my own little rant.
Love it.
But,
Robert, can I jump on a couple of these questions here real quick?
Sure, absolutely.
Sanita was asking for a book, so I just grabbed one off my bookshelf here. if anybody has seen this, The Four Agreements. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. So absolutely amazing book. So I think that's a great one to take a look into for something that's very motivating and life-changing if you haven't seen it. The next one is somebody had in here asking me, can I talk about your mindset when you need to confront someone or something whose negativity needs to be addressed? Man, that is the ultimate question, sincerely. So because that took me a long time, because I think I spent a lot of my life trying to think that I could fix people. So trying to think that I could help people think exactly the way that I think, that I could guide people down that path. I spent a lot of time doing that. What do they call it, Robert? The Florence Nightingale syndrome. So I think I've had that in my entire love life. So I kind of went through there and that mentality. And I think the true answer is there's really nothing you can do except be supportive. So because if somebody's full of negativity, they have to address it. You can't address it. They have to address it. It's got to be on them to clear it up, because when they're negative, if you try to fix it, generally they're going to get more negative. So they have to be willing to be helped, right? And to want to change themselves and to have support. So it's a good question. And I'm sorry, I can't give you an answer except that it's on you, and all you can do is support them and, gauge the situation as to how it's affecting your own life.
If you're trained and you're qualified to help someone like that, you can help them. If not, you've got to pull yourself away. It's not unlike if you're at the beach and someone gets pulled into the toe and you see them struggling. If you're trained, if you're a certified swimmer, you can jump in and save them. But if you're not, as much as you want to, it's only going to pull you in. And that's what you have to understand. You assess yourself. Can you really help them? Or are you going to be sucked into the negativity?
Good add-on, Robert. I love it. Nice. And I think did we hit all the questions? I think we got all the questions.
Yeah, we do. I think everyone wants to go out there and have a great week now.
Go crush it. Enjoy the weekend. Have a great week. The last thing that I wanted to say, Robert, thank you, by the way, for having me on here, number one. Thank Carol for doing all the production, number two. So, and then, and everybody who's on the call, I just want to say I'm really grateful that you took time out of your life to listen to me, and the wonderful comments. Amazing. So thank you. Thanks sincerely.
All right. Awesome job, Keith. Knocked out of the park in our first one. Next week, we have another Keith. Keith Vong is going to share with us kind of his journey, where he's been through and how he's achieved success. And so I'll continue to look for people. I want a variety. I want a lot of different backgrounds. I've got a lot of thoughts in my head on how to really deliver for you each Friday, something impactful, people that can share their journey with you. So we got to find other people not named Keith. So,
Robert, if I can add, if Keith Vong's speaking next week, I've been lucky enough to hear his stories. So bring your Kleenex. So get ready. It's going to melt you. It's an amazing story.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith. And we'll see everybody a little bit later today, and have a great weekend. Thanks once again to Keith Walker and the entire Walker team. I know you guys are all an important part of what Keith was talking about today. So congratulations to all of you for the joint success of the team, and everybody else for listening today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.